Explosive details about the future of our most important star have just leaked, and you won't believe the figures they're discussing. But that's not all, because we also have a 7th-round rookie driving the coaches crazy. And there's a trade. Rumors so absurd that fans are losing their minds on social media. Stay until the end because these 3 pieces of news will completely change your perspective on this season. If you're a Commanders fan, this is information you need to know right now, so like and subscribe because we're getting straight to the point. Can you believe there are analysts out there suggesting the Commanders should go after Mark Andrews from the Ravens? Let me tell you this. It's the most ridiculous idea I've heard all offseason, and I'll explain point by point why this makes no sense at all. First, let's talk about the reality of Mark Andrews at this point in his career. Remember when this guy was selected for 3 consecutive Pro Bowls between 2019 and 2021? Those were his golden years when he was practically unstoppable and truly deserved to be in the conversation of the best tight ends in the league. But that was several years ago, and football is a sport that doesn't forgive the passage of time. Last season, Andrews had barely 544 receiving yards and only 1 touchdown. 1 touchdown. To put it in perspective, our own Zach Ertz, who is already 34, had similar numbers but in a system that was just finding its identity. Why on earth would we trade a veteran tight end who knows our system for another veteran tight end who is clearly in decline? But let's dive deeper into this analysis because there are more factors that make this rumor completely illogical. Anthony Palacios from Last Word on Sports says Andrews could form a nightmare for defenses along with Ertz. Do you know what a real nightmare is? Having 2 expensive veteran tight ends occupying salary cap space when you could use that money on positions where you really need it. Have you considered the cost of bringing Andrews? The Ravens won't give him away, especially considering he still has years on his contract. We have to give up valuable picks and probably take on a significant salary. For what? To have 2 tight ends over 30 when we already have a solid position. Moreover, there's a factor these analysts are completely ignoring: the chemistry with the quarterback. Andrews has played his entire career with Lamar Jackson. That connection has developed over years, and now we want him to come here and develop that same chemistry with Jaden Daniels in his 2nd year. That's not how football works, my friends. Our tight end room is more than well built for the future. Zach Ertz can still produce and is a veteran who can mentor the young players. John Bates is exactly what you need in a blocking specialist tight end, especially with our emphasis on the running game. Ben Sinnott is entering his 2nd year after being a 2nd-round pick, and all reports indicate that he is progressing. Well, and don't forget about Colson Yankov, who according to reports is impressing in practice. Why break that chemistry and development for a player who is clearly past his prime? It's as if these analysts don't understand that football is a team sport where chemistry and system fit matter more than the names on the jerseys. And here's what really bothers me about this whole rumor. Adam Peters has proven to be extremely smart in his moves. He brought in Deebo Samuel, who fills a real need in our receiving cores. He acquired Laramie Tunsil, protecting Jaden Daniels' blindside. Even the trade for Marshon Lattimore, though it didn't turn out as expected due to injuries, made sense. Because we needed help in the secondary dot. Do you see the pattern? Peters identifies real needs and fills them with players who can make an immediate impact. Mark Andrews doesn't fill any real need and is unlikely to impact more than what we already have. Fans on social media are absolutely baffled by this rumor, and they are absolutely right. When your own fan base, which is generally willing to get excited about any move, thinks an idea is ridiculous, it's probably because it really is. I believe these kinds of rumors come out because some analysts need content, and sometimes they come up with ideas that sound interesting on paper, but don't make sense when you examine them deeply. It's pure speculation and misinformed speculation. Now, let's move on to something that really should excite us, and that is the story of Krosky Merritt. This kid represents everything good about the new philosophy of this organization. And I will explain why his early success in the offseason is more meaningful than many think. First, let's talk about his journey because it's a story every Commanders fan should know. Krosky Merritt started at Alabama State, an HBCU that doesn't get the media attention of the big conferences. There he had to prove his worth without the exposure and resources players endure. Power 5 schools have. He then transferred to Arizona, which is already a significant achievement. But here comes the brutal part of his story. After just one game, the NCAA revoked his eligibility. One game. Imagine the emotional devastation. This kid worked his whole life to get to that level. Finally gets his shot at a big school, and they take it away after 60 minutes of football. Do you know what he did instead of giving up? He dedicated himself fully to preparing for the draft. He not only stayed in shape, but dominated at the East-West Shrine Bowl, earning offensive MVP against some of the top prospects in the country. That's not luck. It's preparation meeting opportunity. When the draft came, his stock had dropped dramatically, not due to a lack of talent, but because of circumstances beyond his control. Other teams saw the red flags and passed. Adam Peters and his staff saw the talent and determination and decided to take a chance on him in the 7th round. Now, Anthony Lynn, who is not known for unnecessary praise, can't stop talking about this kid. He's already a young professional, says Lynn. He carved his path from Alabama State to this level, and that says a lot about his work ethic. Those words mean something coming from a coach like Lynn, who has seen all kinds of players in his career. But let's dive deeper into what this means for our running back room. Brian Robinson remains our workhorse. That's clear. But modern football requires depth and versatility at the running back position. Austin Eckler gives us that third down back dimension. But what if we need more carries or there are injuries? Krosky Merritt offers something different. According to reports, he has the size to run between tackles, but also the versatility to go to the slot and make plays in the passing game. That combination of skills is exactly what you need in a backup running back in today's NFL. Lynn says, he doesn't know what they have in him yet, but he's growing like weeds every day. That honesty is refreshing but also revealing. A coach with Lynn's experience can identify potential when he sees it, and he clearly sees something special in practice. Does this mean he's going to be the next great NFL running back? Of course we can't guarantee that. 7th round picks have a very low success rate, and this kid lost nearly an entire development season last year. But there are several factors that make me optimistic about his chances. First, he's entering a system perfect for his skills. Cliff Kingsbury knows how to utilize versatile running backs, and having Jaden Daniels as quarterback means defenses can't just key on the running game. Second, he's learning from coaches who genuinely understand the position. Lynn has developed running backs throughout his career, and Brian Robinson can be a great mentor for a young player trying to establish himself. Third, and this is crucial, he has the right mindset. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters are building a culture based on work ethic and perseverance. Krosky Merritt fits perfectly into that philosophy because he's already demonstrated these qualities throughout his journey. The training camp will be the real test because that's where things get intense. They're going to put him against NFL linebackers. He'll have to show he can protect the quarterback, and he'll have to prove he can be reliable in pressure situations. But let me tell you this, I'd much rather bet on a player like Krosky Merritt, who's had to fight for everything in his career, than on a first-round pick who's never faced real adversity. The history of football is full of players who were overlooked and became significant contributors because they had that inner drive that can't be taught. Now we get to the news that's really keeping me up at night, and that's Terry McLaurin's contract situation. Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated was brutally honest. The negotiations are not in a good place, and Terry won't accept anything that doesn't start with a 3 per year. We're talking $30 million annually minimum, and I'll explain why the organization is making a grave mistake if this isn't resolved immediately. First, let's put into perspective what Terry McLaurin means to this organization. This man has been our most consistent receiving threat since he arrived as a third-round pick in 2019. He's produced more than 1,000 yards in 3 of his 5 seasons, and that's playing with a parade of mediocre quarterbacks and dysfunctional offensive systems. Remember the quarterbacks Terry has had to endure? Dwayne Haskins, Taylor Heinicke, Carson Wentz, Sam Howell. Imagine the numbers he would have posted with decent quarterback play all those years. And now that we finally have Jaden Daniels and a coherent offensive system, are we going to be stingy with the guy who stayed loyal during the hard years? Let's talk specific numbers because it's important to understand the market context. Breer says Terry is asking for something that starts with a 3, which would put him in the same range as Tyreek Hill, who earns exactly $30 million per year with the Dolphins. Is that a fair comparison? I believe absolutely yes. Tyreek has more explosive speed, but Terry has better consistency and is more reliable in clutch situations. Tyreek has had the advantage of playing with Patrick Mahomes and now Tua, while Terry has elevated the play of mediocre quarterbacks throughout his career. But let's go beyond individual comparisons and talk about the timing of this negotiation. Terry is entering the last year of his contract, which gives him significant leverage. If we don't reach an agreement, he can play this season and become a free agent, where he'll definitely get those $30 million from some team desperate for. Receiving help, Doc, can you imagine losing Terry McLaurin in free agency after all he's given this organization? It would be an absolute disaster, especially considering we just brought in Deebo Samuel specifically to form an explosive duo with Terry. Here's the real problem. According to Breer, it seems the organization isn't being proactive with these negotiations. How is it possible that we're being reactive instead of proactive with our best offensive weapon? Adam Peters has shown he's willing to make big moves, so why the hesitation here? I have a theory, and I think it has to do with the fact that Terry has never been the kind of player to create public drama. He just puts his head down, works hard, and produces. But that loyalty and professionalism shouldn't be taken for granted. On the contrary, it should be rewarded. Let's also talk about the impact losing Terry would have on Jaden Daniels' development. Our young quarterback has already developed chemistry with Terry, and having that reliable target is crucial for his continued growth. Do we really want to disrupt that connection over salary cap concerns? The salary cap is increasing significantly. Each year, what's expensive today will be a bargain in 2 or 3 years. Look at what's happening with receiver contracts around the league. Calvin Ridley just got $23 million per year with the Titans after being suspended for gambling. Mike Evans renewed with Tampa for $26 million annually at 30. Terry is in his prime, has been consistently productive, and has never had off-field issues. If those players are getting those contracts, why wouldn't Terry deserve 30? There's another crucial factor we can't ignore, the message this sends to the rest of the team. We just brought in expensive free agents like Deebo Samuel and are paying big money for Laramie Tunsil. If we don't reward our homegrown talent who has been loyal during the tough years, what message are we sending to future draft picks about? Loyalty and commitment? Terry has earned the right to be paid like a top receiver. He's put up the numbers, shown leadership, and represented this organization with class during difficult years. He's not the kind of player who will hold out or cause drama, but that doesn't mean we should take advantage of his professionalism. Additionally, there are practical considerations that go beyond football. Terry is one of the faces of this franchise. He's popular with fans, active in the community, and represents everything positive about this organization. Losing him would be devastating, not only from a talent standpoint, but also from a cultural and fan engagement standpoint. I believe that. In the end, they'll reach an agreement, but I'm worried this is dragging on longer than necessary. Every day that passes without a resolution is another day of uncertainty, and that uncertainty can affect both Terry and team chemistry. The solution here is simple. Pay the man. Give him the $30 million, structure the contract in a way that's cap-friendly in the early years, and move forward. Terry has earned it. The market supports it, and our Super Bowl window requires it. These three pieces of news give us a complete snapshot of where we are as an organization and where we're headed. On one hand, we have absurd rumors like the Mark Andrews one that demonstrate some analysts simply don't understand our situation. On the other hand, we have positive developments like Krosky Merritt that show our scouting and development system is working. But Terry's situation is what truly defines this offseason. This is not just a negotiation about money. It's a statement about our values as an organization. Are we going to reward loyalty and production, or are we going to nickel and dime our best player? I've been a fan of this team for decades and have seen many mistakes. We've let go of talented players for pennies. We've overpaid mediocre players, and we've made decisions that set back this franchise years. The situation with Terry is an opportunity to do things right. Adam Peters has to understand that sometimes you pay premium prices for premium talent, especially when that talent has been developed internally and represents everything positive about your culture. Terry McLaurin checks all those boxes. As for Krosky Merritt, his story is exactly the type of narrative that should excite every Commanders fan. This kid represents hope, determination, and the idea that with hard work and opportunity, anyone can make it. His success will be a win not only for him, but for the entire concept of finding gems in the later rounds of the draft. And regarding the ridiculous Mark Andrews rumor, I hope this serves as a reminder that not all takes from analysts have merit. As fans, we have to be smart consumers of information and understand when something makes sense versus when it's just hot air. The bottom line is this: we're at a critical juncture as a franchise. We have a young, talented quarterback in Jaden Daniels. We have a coaching staff that understands modern football. We have front office leadership that's made smart moves. But all that means nothing if we can't keep our best players happy and productive. Terry McLaurin is a cornerstone of this franchise and needs to be treated as such. His contract negotiation will set the tone not only for this season, but for years to come. Let's do this right, Commanders fans, because our window is open right now. What do you think about the $30 million for Terry? Is it worth it, or is it too much? And what expectations do you have for Krosky Merritt this season? Do you think he can really contribute as a rookie? Let me know in the comments, because I want to hear all your perspectives. And if this kind of deep analysis is what you're looking for, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because we have more content coming that's going to keep you informed about everything related to our Washington Commanders. Remember, we're more than fans. We're a family that lives and breathes Burgundy and Gold football. Every like, comment, and subscription helps us grow this community of true Commanders believers. Hail to the Redskins, and see you in the next video.